Let me ask you something honestly. When was the last time you said something genuinely kind to yourself? Not to someone else, not out loud to look good in front of someone, but quietly, in your own mind, to yourself, and actually meant it. Because if that question just made you uncomfortable, if a little voice inside said, I don't really do that, or I wouldn't even know where to start, then what I'm about to share with you in the next few minutes could quietly, completely change the way you move through your life. Not tomorrow, not someday when things finally line up perfectly. Starting right now, in this very breath. So stay with me, because this matters more than you probably think it does. Here's what most people don't realize. Every single morning, before you even open your eyes, your mind has already begun talking to you. And for most of us, that voice isn't gentle. It's the one that says things like, you're behind, you're not enough. Everyone else has it figured out, but you. That voice feels so normal, so worn in, so familiar that we don't even question it. We just accept it as the truth and let it set the tone for our entire day. But here is what I want you to understand right now. That voice is not the truth. It is a habit, a deeply worn groove in your mind that was carved there over years. And habits, my dear, can be changed. They can be gently, lovingly replaced with something better. Today is not just another day on the calendar. It's an invitation, a doorway, a real quiet chance for you to decide, maybe for the very first time, how you actually want to speak to yourself. And I promise you, everything in your life starts right there. Everything. So think of your mind as a garden, not a wild, overgrown jungle, a real garden, the kind someone tends to with care. Now here's the part most people miss completely. Every single thought you think is a seed, and you have been planting seeds your entire life, mostly without even knowing it. Seeds of worry, seeds of I'm not good enough, seeds of what's wrong with me. And those seeds grew. They grew quietly, steadily, into the very landscape you walk through every single day. The way you respond when things go wrong, the way you shrink in certain rooms, the way you push away good things before they can get too close. All of it grew from seeds you planted without ever meaning to. And none of that was your fault. But here's what is genuinely beautiful about a garden. No matter how long the weeds have been there, no matter how thick and deep they've grown, you can always start planting something new. Today, right now, without needing permission from anyone in your life. But wait, before we go any deeper into this, I need to tell you something that might actually stop you in your tracks. Something you've probably heard before, maybe a dozen times, but never really let settle into your bones. Ready? You are worthy. Not because of what you do, not because of what you've achieved or who you've impressed or how productive you managed to be today. You are worthy simply because you are here, because you are breathing, because you exist. That is it. That is the whole thing. And I know that might sound almost too simple to be true. Your mind might even push back right now and say, yeah, but, and that's okay. Let it say that. Just don't believe it. Because that pushback, that's just an old seed trying to protect its roots. It doesn't mean it's the truth. So what do we actually do about it? How do we start changing the way we talk to ourselves after years and years of the old script? The answer is something called affirmations. And before you roll your eyes, hear me out. Because affirmations are not about pretending everything is perfect. They're not about toxic positivity or slapping a bright smile over real, genuine pain. They are simply about consciously choosing what seeds you plant. Every time you say, I am enough, you are not lying to yourself. You are remembering something that was always true, but got buried under years and years of other people's voices telling you otherwise. And this is where it gets really interesting, because you didn't come up with most of those cruel, dismissive things you say to yourself. You inherited them from parents who were doing their very best, but who carried their own deep wounds, from teachers who didn't know any better, from a culture that taught you to compare, to shrink, to doubt yourself at every turn. None of that was your fault, but the beautiful, quietly radical thing is this: the very moment you become aware of it, you take the power back, and that power is yours. It doesn't expire. It doesn't have conditions. It's yours forever. Now, here's something that most people don't expect to hear in a conversation like this, but I want to say it plainly because it matters more than almost anything else we'll talk about today. Fear feels so real. It lives in your body like a physical, tangible thing. Tight shoulders, a clenched jaw, that knot sitting right in the center of your chest when you think about the future, and your mind turns it into a story, a very convincing one. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if I lose everything I care about? But let me be very clear with you. Fear is not the truth. It is a story, an old story. And like any story, it can be rewritten. You were not born afraid. You came into this world wide open and trusting. Fear was something you learned through experiences that didn't feel safe, through voices that weren't kind, through moments where someone or something told you the world was a dangerous place, and you believed them because you had no reason not to. But what was learned can be unlearned, and what was wounded can heal. So say this to yourself quietly, gently, the way you'd say it to someone you deeply love. I am safe. Say it one more time. I am safe. I am supported. I am not alone. Let those words travel somewhere deeper than your conscious mind. Let them reach your body, your nervous system, the parts of you that have been bracing for something bad for longer than you can remember. Because your body is listening even when your thoughts are arguing with every single word. And this brings me to something a lot of people find uncomfortable at first. But stay with me, because it is one of the most quietly powerful things you will ever do for yourself. Have you ever really looked into your own eyes in a mirror? Not glanced, not checked your hair or your outfit on the way out the door? Actually looked deep into your own gaze, holding it, not looking away, and spoken to yourself out loud with your own voice. Most people haven't done this. And honestly, most people feel genuinely strange just thinking about it. But here's why this practice, what's called mirror work, matters so much more than it might sound. When you stand in front of that mirror and say, I love you to yourself, something happens that no silently repeated affirmation can quite replicate. You come face to face with all of yourself, the parts you love, the parts you've been hiding from, the parts that have been waiting, sometimes for years, just to be seen by someone, even if that someone is you. And in that moment, you're not performing for anyone. You're just being honest. Start small if you need to. You don't need to pour your heart out on day one. Just look at yourself and say, I see you. I'm here. And I'm learning to love you. That alone is more than enough. Now, here's a question that keeps a lot of people quietly stuck, and most teachings skip right past it. What about change? Because even when you know deep down, you really, truly know that something in your life needs to shift, change still feels terrifying. We cling to what's familiar even when it's quietly making us miserable, because at least it's something we can predict. It feels safe even when it isn't. But here's the truth that took me a long time to fully understand. Change is not something that is happening to you. It is something you are being invited into. And you don't have to feel ready for it. You just have to be willing. Willing to let go of the old story you've been carrying. Willing to believe, even just a little bit, that something better is already unfolding somewhere just ahead of you. Say this out loud if you can, wherever you are right now. I am open to receiving what is already mine. Read that one more time and let it land. What is already mine? Not something you need to chase or force or earn or fight for, something that is already yours, just quietly waiting for you to open the door wide enough to let it in. And how do you open that door? Through a practice, a daily, ordinary, not glamorous practice. Through showing up for yourself not perfectly, but consistently. Think about it this way. You brush your teeth every morning, right? Not because one brushing is going to last the rest of your life, but because it's a small daily act of care that adds up over time. Affirmations are exactly the same thing. They're how you brush your soul. So every single morning before you reach for your phone, before the noise and the emails and the obligations of the world flood in, say something kind to yourself, something real and simple, something like, I am worthy of all the good things life has to offer. It will feel awkward at first. Your mind might actually scoff at you. Good. Let it scoff. Keep going anyway. Because here's what science actually tells us, and this part is important. Every time you repeat a thought with real intention behind it, you carve a new neural pathway in your brain. You are literally rewiring the way you think, not through willpower or force, through gentle, patient, loving return. And the rhythm matters, not just the morning, throughout the whole day. When something stressful happens, a difficult conversation, a moment of self-doubt, a wave of anxiety you didn't see coming, those aren't signs that you're failing. They're invitations. Invitations to pause, take one real breath, and come back to yourself. Whisper something simple. I trust the process. Everything is unfolding for me, not against me, for me. Say it not because you're naive, but because you are powerful. Because every time you choose that thought over the fearful one, you are building something in yourself that cannot be taken away. And here's something I want to bring up because it changes everything about how you move through your life. Most people don't talk about their inner voice, the one that narrates everything, the quiet, constant commentator in the back of your mind. And most of the time, that voice is not kind. It says things like, you should have known better, you're too late, people like you don't get things like that. Those words might be silent, but their impact is deep and real. Here's what I need you to hear, though. You are not a prisoner of that voice. You are not stuck with it forever. You are the one thinking those thoughts, which means you are also the one who gets to choose different ones. It really is that simple. Not easy, but simple. When you hear that harsh voice rise up, you don't have to argue with it. You don't have to prove it wrong. Just pause, take a breath, and say, that's not true anymore. I choose a new thought, and then choose one. Something gentle, something that sounds like what a kind person would say to you on a hard day. Speaking of return, and this connects to everything we've been talking about, you're not meant to do any of this alone. None of it. Life was not designed to be something you white-knuckle your way through by yourself. There is a presence. Call it the universe, call it God, call it your deepest inner knowing, call it whatever word feels right and true when you close your eyes. And it is here with you right now. It has always been here. The reason it can sometimes feel so far away is not because it disappeared or left you behind. It's because we forgot to turn toward it. We got so caught up in the noise of our problems that we stopped listening. And this is where most people make a quiet mistake. They think asking for help is weakness, or they think they have to wait until things get desperate enough to deserve support, or they imagine asking has to be some big, formal, serious thing, but it's not. You can ask for help 100 times a day while you're making coffee, while you're sitting in traffic, while you're lying in bed and sleep won't come. Guide me. Help me see. I'm open to receiving. These aren't grand prayers. They're just small, sincere, everyday invitations. And they work. They work because your words carry real energy, whether you say them out loud or hold them quietly in your heart. Every time you ask with genuine openness, you shift something inside yourself just enough to notice what was always there, waiting. One of the most beautiful ways to deepen that connection is through writing, journaling, but not the kind where you sit down and try to sound wise or spiritual. The honest kind. The kind where you write directly to that presence, the way you'd write to someone you trust completely. Dear universe, I need help with this. I feel confused. I don't know what to do, but I'm listening. Just be real. If you're scared, write that. If you're tired or angry or hopeful or somewhere in the messy middle of all of those at once, write all of it. Nothing is too much. Nothing is too small. And then do something that might feel a little strange at first. Close your eyes. Breathe and then let your pen move again. This time, write what you sense that presence might say back to you. It might come as a warmth, a quiet feeling, something like, "You are not alone. Keep going. Trust this." It might feel like you're imagining it, but you're not. You're learning to listen. And over time, that becomes one of the most precious parts of your whole day. Now, here's something else that I want to bring up because it changes everything about how you relate to your life. Gratitude, but not the kind that only shows up when things are already going your way. The kind that sees the good even while everything is still unfolding, even while you're in the middle of waiting, even while it still feels uncertain and a little scary. This kind of gratitude isn't naive, it's actually brave. When you say thank you for the help that's already on its way, before you can see any proof of it, you're telling life that you trust it, and life responds to that trust in ways you wouldn't expect. Your energy shifts from bracing to welcoming, and that shift, that small, quiet, internal turn, is what opens the door wider than anything else can. Here's a real story that stays with me. A woman I once worked with was going through one of the hardest seasons of her life, a painful breakup, the kind that shakes everything you thought you knew about yourself and the future. Every day she felt lost and afraid. But she started one simple practice. Every time the grief hit, and it hit often, she would say, "Divine comfort flows to me now," not once, dozens of times a day. And within a week, something shifted. She wasn't healed overnight. The grief was still there, real and present. But she started sleeping a little better. She started noticing small things again, the warmth of sunlight on her face in the morning, a stranger offering an unexpectedly kind word, a moment of real laughter she didn't plan for. She wasn't alone in it anymore. That was her miracle. Not a lightning bolt, not a dramatic, instant transformation, a quiet, gentle shift in the middle of something hard. And that's what most real miracles actually look like. So here's what I want to leave you with today. Not a perfect plan, not a checklist of things you have to do to earn a better life. Just this one thing. You have more power than you have ever been told. The way you talk to yourself, that quiet, constant inner conversation that never stops, is shaping your entire life right now in real time. And you get to choose what it sounds like. You get to plant new seeds. You get to rewrite the story. You get to open the door to something better and let it walk right in. Not someday, not when you're finally ready or when things calm down or when you've earned it somehow. Right now, in this breath, in this exact ordinary, unremarkable moment that is actually anything but ordinary. Take a breath with me, a real one. Feel your chest rise. Hold it just for a second. Now let it go. Place your hand over your heart if you can. Feel it beating. That heartbeat is proof that you are alive, that you are here, that you matter in ways you may never fully understand. And every single time you choose a kind word over a cruel one, even when nobody's watching, even when it feels awkward or forced or strange, even when your mind fights you on it, you are building something, something quiet and steady and real and yours, a life that actually feels like it belongs to you. So go forward with that, not with pressure, not with the need to get it right every single time, just with the simple, quietly radical act of believing in yourself. Because you are worthy, you are safe, you are loved, and your life is already beginning to change, one thought, one breath, one beautiful seed at a time.